guys, welcome back to another Friday Finish Lines. Thank you for joining me here on my YouTube channel where I take motivational quotes. I use them on different topics, not only to inspire you guys, but you take these quotes and use them to inspire others. That being said, my topic of discussion today is your younger self. What would you say to your younger self? What would you give advice on for your younger self? And what would you tell them to avoid? Things like that. So I have one amazing quote for you guys today. Let's get started. Alright, you guys, so I want your first thought of this video to be, what would I tell my younger self? What would I give advice on? What would I let them know about? Even if it didn't affect the trajectory of your life, you would still end up where you were, you would still go through what you went through, but what would you kind of tell them so that in their subconscious, it would sort of help them get through those tough times, get through those adversities that you have already experienced? And what kind of things would you let them know about the future? And what would you tell them about yourself? How would you, describe how your life is going in the future? And a lot of the times, we think to ourselves, man, if I went back and I, talked to myself, how disappointed would I be in myself? But a lot of the times we forget that as children, sometimes ignorance is bliss. The idea that the world is perfect and everything's, fine and dandy is, sometimes a good thing. But it's also this idea that as children, if we were to go back in time and talk to ourselves, what would our younger self think of our, current situation? And I think they would be happy for us. Oh my God, you do this. Oh my God, you do that. Oh my God, we went here. Oh my God, we experienced this. Oh, we have a partner. We have friends. There are a lot of things that we take for granted as adults that our younger self would be so blessed to know that we have or know that we've experienced. And a lot of the times I think that's like a great way to go into any situation or any life decision. The idea that, okay, if I make this decision now and however it turns out, good or bad or neutral, in the future, if I were to look back on this moment, would I think to myself, man, I'm glad I did that? Or would I look back and regret saying oh, why didn't I do that? So that's a great way to sort of make decisions and kind of go about, I believe, great big life decisions. It's okay, am I going to regret not doing this? Or am I going to, a couple weeks from now, just think to myself oh, why did I do that? Or why was I so dumb? And a lot of the times when we're a lot older, I've watched videos of other people, and what they've regretted. And, they're sometimes I think they think to themselves, man, I wish I would have drank that beer one more time. I wish I would have went with my friends to that festival. I wish I would have, stayed up later that night. There's so many things that these little things that they regret because, as we get older, we lose those things. We don't have the time for those things. And we look back on these memories and we cherish them because it was a time where we were free and life constraints weren't so heavy on our shoulders, because there will come a time where we're older and we're slower and we can't do as much, but we stay active, we stay loose, we stay fun, and we have different priorities in our lives. So right now, just for my age being 27, a huge priority for myself is me, my family, my friends, and my partner, and just, growing that future. But, when we get older, priorities are going to be, hey, I got kids, I got my future, my partner, and your ideas change, your everything shifts. So just to kind of give you a little idea of what I would tell my younger self, if I were to go back and talk to myself, I would just continue to be, stay kind, be true to who you are, and be nice. Don't be afraid to speak up more. That's something I'm really big on this year, something I've been really trying to grow into, is standing up for what I believe in and speaking on things that I necessarily don't agree with, and stop being so passive with certain things, and really just not letting people cross any boundaries when it comes to my own personal views and just how I think they should treat other people. So I am carrying that into my life now, and so that's kind of what I would tell my younger self is, don't be so passive with things. It's okay to speak up and to really voice how you feel, to have more fun. I know I think I've had so much fun in my life, but just more fun, do more things. Don't be afraid to go out and try something different. I know I've taken a lot of risks as younger. You know, I'm still young now, but just even younger, I took a lot of risks. But I would say to take even more and to not be afraid of, you know, starting over, to just, you know, get in the gym earlier too. I tell myself to get in the gym earlier. I think if I would have gotten in the gym a little bit earlier, but yeah, still everything works out for a reason. But I would tell myself to get in the gym earlier. I would tell them, you know, we're blessed and we're loved, and that feeling of understanding and sort of wisdom that I felt for a long time in my life, it never really goes away, and it's a beautiful thing, and I always cherish that in my life. So yeah, that's just a little something I would tell my younger self, and maybe a couple of news updates they probably wouldn't understand, but maybe just a couple things to give them a little shock factor. But yeah, to end it off, my quote from Buddha says, "You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection." Alright guys, thank you so much for joining me here on 5 Finish Lines. I'll see you guys next week with a new video. I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in, watching, and yeah, hope April has been good to you, and I hope you are going into this month thinking of some amazing ideas to do. Things are starting to flow. 4 months into the year. Yeah, what are you up to? Let me know down in the comments. Leave a like, subscribe, share. Alright, I'll see you guys next week. Drink your water, alright?